Welcome back. Welcome into the Lions Share podcast, the anti-Super Bowl episode. We're going to talk about the Lions. It's good to have you all back here on the Lions Share. Thank you, shareholders, for being here ahead of the Super Bowl, ahead of season 4 of this here podcast, when we'll touch on free agency and the draft here in the next couple months. But right now, we've got a lot of news to catch you up on. Guys, welcome back. Since we last talked, the Lions have lost a host of coaches, and we're gonna talk about who replaced those seats. But what did you guys make of all these moves? Obviously, we were anticipating losing some coordinators, but were you expecting the magnitude that they lost all these coaches at?
I think we were prepared to lose the coordinators, but the poaching that went on afterwards got a little out of hand. Ben, you got it in there. Hank Fraley, the best re-signing of them all, though.
Yeah, that was huge. I did not expect to lose all these guys. I don't know why though. I feel like that's kind of just on us. I think everyone knew Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson were going to go. We should have expected them to take some of the assistants with them. But good call, Andrew. I think Hank Fraley staying is huge.
Yeah, it's a massive re-signing. It was floated around that he could go to Seattle to be offensive coordinator, floated around that he could go a couple different places to move up and be grabbed there. But they retain Hank Fraley, but they do lose their defensive line coach. They do lose their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. And we've got the guys that will fill it. Casey Rogers, let's touch on him first, because this is one of my favorite moves of the front office from the Lions. Casey Rogers comes in from Tampa Bay. He makes a lateral move. He was their D-line coach for the Bucs. We know he's won a Super Bowl with the Bucs. So this is one of my favorite moves. We'll touch on the coordinators in a minute, but a low-key move here to bring in Casey Rogers, I think that only elevates a defensive line of the Lions.
Yeah, I agree. That was a big loss. Well, they're all big losses, but I like the Casey Rogers hire a lot. I know we're going to get into the grades. I don't see a miss, to be honest. And Montgomery came out and said the Lions don't make coaching mistakes. I would tend to agree with them.
What do you think, Andrew?
It's a little weird to be on this side of things, right? Detroit is a destination. It's been that way for kind of a couple years now, but it still feels foreign, if you will, right? Feels weird that coaches want to come here and not really, almost, and I hate to say it, use Detroit as a stepping stone, but come here to give themselves a shot at a head coaching job somewhere else.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's the downside of being good. You're going to lose some of these coordinators, and I don't know if anybody could have predicted how many coaches they were going to lose, but we all knew the coordinators were going to be gone. But you're right, Andrew. You've got guys like Casey Rogers making lateral moves. Oftentimes you got to elevate to take a new job, and here he is taking a lateral move to another team. His contract was up with the Bucs, so excited to see the talent that he brings.
It's similar to Dave Phipp, though, right? I mean, Phipp did the same thing and was super highly sought after, and I just think it goes to show, again, it all comes down to the turnaround of the culture and how much Dan is respected in the whole league, really. Dan and Brad together. I think it just speaks volumes that guys are willing to do that to come to Detroit.
You're right, and it's the networking too that those guys did. A lot of these guys have connections from way back when these guys were on similar coaching staffs and similar trees. So it speaks to their networking and their ability to keep relationships open and not burn bridges, because they got some of these guys from previous coaching staffs. So I love that move, and Andrew, I'm sure you love it too. You're Mr. Tampa Baker, the Bucs, the Baconeers as you like to call them. So I'm sure you love that too. That it's they got one there from the Bucs team.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say, when you have Vita Vea on your defensive line, it's hard to go wrong.
Yeah. You've got that man in the middle, a massive human being in the middle there. You're right. It does make your job a little bit easier. Excited to see what he can do with Aiden and among others on that defensive line with the Lions. Looking forward to it. And then, of course, Ben Johnson. He hits the road. He doesn't go down the road very far, though. He ends up in Chicago. Are we all Ben Johnson haters now? Or are we wishing him any good luck?
No more BJs. Cut that from the record.
I think we talked about this a little bit. The whole, Ben wasn't locked in, AG wasn't locked in. I didn't buy any of that until I found out that Ben Johnson has been building his Chicago staff for like a year. Then I was kind of like, yeah, that's a little stale.
A little messed up.
Yeah.
When you all think back,
hurts.
you all think back to the game where that game against the Bears too, where he just threw everything at him.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, do your thing, but I've been adamant that I think AG is going to be a better head coach, and I hope we continue to kick the piss out of the Bears.
Yeah, this was the one move we thought he wouldn't make, was stay in division. So honestly, the Chicago game was getting a little stale there for a minute. This makes it even more exciting.
It does, and that was the team that didn't get above 500 in the North. Everybody else was above 500 and well above. So interesting to see what the Bears can do with a second-year quarterback with Caleb Williams, and now Ben Johnson, who much is to be seen. Much remains to be seen about what his ability is at the head coaching level. We know he was rock solid at the OC level. Defensive coordinator, we lose Aaron Glenn. He goes to New York to be the Jets' new head coach. And then they bring in somebody internal. They elevate Calvin Shepard. So that's great to see. And somebody I think we mentioned in the past too. He's a guy that I saw on Hard Knocks back when the Lions were on Hard Knocks. And I mentioned it to you guys in the fall. I said I'd love to see Calvin Shepard, if he's ready for it, if he's up for it, to make this move. And so this is one of my top moves as well. I like this one. I like the Casey Rogers move a lot too.
Well, you could see it coming too, right? You could see Calvin kind of right there lockstep with AG most of the time. I think this was the most logical. Who did AG steal with him? I think he took a couple guys with him, right? Do you know those?
We took the defensive line coach, right?
Yeah, I thought he took somebody in the DB field as well. And then player-wise, I think they were saying they were expecting Barnes and Onzaworke to go with him.
Yeah, Barnes for sure. That was his number one that he wanted to bring over to New York. I know that.
Did you guys see that? So they asked Steve Spagnuolo this week about Kelvin Shepard, and he's just like sang his praises the whole time. He coached him in he said New York, but I think he means Buffalo. I don't know. But said he was like one of the smartest players. Like knew he'd be a great coach someday, and thinks he'll be a head coach eventually.
Wow,
that makes me feel good.
That makes me feel real good. That gets me tinglies.
Yeah, and who knows what is going on with my Google Chrome? Yeah, it's
free advertisement for Google Chrome.
Yeah, like Google needs any more. It's trying to move my tabs. It wants to organize them. No thanks. Yeah, Calvin Shepard. I think we all knew that was a possibility. We all bummed that they didn't get Saleh here for the defensive coordinator.
Just because he's a proven coach on a really successful team, but I think like it was like 1 and 1A for me. Like I think either one of those would have been great gets. I don't know why, but Saleh and Campbell would have been maybe too much testosterone on one sideline.
That's fair.
Overload for sure.
I think we all figured he wasn't going to go there due to LaFleur and Green Bay. Makes
sense. Yeah, makes sense. And I think you brought up a big point too, Andrew, which was changing the scheme of the defense. You know, that's something that would have been some growing pains there for that defense. But excited to see what Calvin can do. He's a rah-rah guy. He's got a similar nature to a lot of the coaching staff that the Lions have already built. So I'm excited to see that. Let's circle back to sorry for the corporate talk. John Morton as the offensive coordinator to replace Ben Johnson. This was somebody who was on the Lions coaching staff a couple years ago. Went over to Denver last year and helped out Bo Nix as the passing game coordinator. We saw that Denver had a little bit of a resurgence with that team after some struggling years. Made the playoffs and got bounced by Buffalo. But how about John Morton coming back to Detroit after a stint in Denver?
I've got a quick pros and cons list. Pro, on the staff in 2022. Pro, Bo Nix had a great rookie season. Con, New York Jets offensive coordinator 2017.
Bingo. That concerns me too.
The pros are great. the con is no good. But that was 7-8 years ago.
Devil's advocate of that 2017 Jets team. Do you know who their quarterback was?
Oh my gosh, it had to be Sanchez.
No.
Ooh, Sam Darnold. No, that's too long ago.
This was the only reason I felt a little bit better about the 2017 season being as poor as it was and him being the OC at this time, because I feel like he was limited. No. So this is a guy that's a coach now. I think he's a quarterback's coach.
Oh God, yeah, and everyone wanted it. I thought he would be a head coach. He's a journeyman in the NFL. Why can't I think of his name? Did he play for? How many teams did he play for? Tall,
Too many.
blonde. Why can't I think of his name? Oh, this is killing me.
Andrew? Blank space.
I can't think of his name, but that's
what if
that's
I give
who it
you
is,
his
right?
first name? What if I Josh?
McCown.
Yeah. There you go.
Damn.
Yeah. So that makes me feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So take that 2017 with a grain of salt, I would say. Andrew? John Morton. Thoughts?
He got to spend some more time with Josh Reynolds.
He did.
Facts.
And then Josh
Lost him to
Reynolds
shooting.
Well,
What do you say about shooting?
Josh Reynolds got shot last year.
yeah. He did. These are facts. I mean, I can't deny that.
All of these are facts.
And Josh is a free agent now, I believe. I think he got cut.
Probably because he got shot.
Well, I think he still continued to play after that. So,
Are we going to get him back on a cheapy deal?
well, we'll touch on those
Do you want him
in
back?
just a minute.
Yeah, well, it depends.
The Serpent?
on who we lose.
The Serpent himself.
Does it, though?
Look at Mitch. He doesn't believe in the building blocks.
He's
Oh, bite me.
all right. You guys want to grade the grades? Grade the moves, I should say.
A's all across the board, if nothing else, because I'm biased, and they're all A's. This dude is on one tonight.
Not one at a time, but just overall.
Oh, overall, then yeah, A. I think they did a really good job. You're not going to replace Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, but I think these are the moves that make the most sense.
Yeah, I think we got to give him at least a B, right? Like, you can't get an A for losing both your coordinators.
You can't get an A, but you can get a third-round draft pick.
You sure as hell can.
Coach
Needed it too. We were running out of picks there real quick.
We need it this year.
Might come in real big handy with Myles Garrett on the line. Just
hinting
a
at
little insurance.
hinting. Somebody was looking ahead on those show notes. I thought you didn't read those things.
That's just all up here, dog.
No,
You know the wavelength we ride.
We do. I wrote in my notes here. I'm gonna read off my notes. Brad, Dan, and Sheila. They basically knocked it out of the park with their initial coaching hires when they came to town. Anthony Lynn as offensive coordinator wasn't a great pick, and Aubrey Pleasant at DB wasn't great. But I have faith that they can do it again here with this staff. So I'll give them a solid B+. I'll give them a B+, A- in that range. Here's a question for you guys. With Aaron Glenn going to New York and Ben Johnson going to Chicago, who do you think outlasts the other as far as being a head coach? Do you think either of these guys have an advantage over the other one?
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, two guys who are going to questionable ownership groups. I just think Aaron Glenn is the better head coach. I don't think we see Aaron Rodgers in a Jets jersey this year. It would be so hilarious if he went to the Vikings. God, it would be funny. But
yes, it would.
I think Aaron Glenn will be the better head coach, therefore last longer than Ben. I think I heard this comparison and I was like, oh my God. I think Ben Johnson might be the next Josh McDaniels.
Manifest it, brother. Then he comes back.
Who's quarterback for the Jets right now?
TBD.
So we don't have anything there. We got nothing rolling for.
I don't think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think Mitch is right. I really doubt that they.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Caleb Williams does his head coach any justice. We saw him do it with Eberflus, pretty much throw him under the bus in the Lions game. I think Caleb Williams is addicted to getting coaches fired, but Ben Johnson is going to have
Period.
a very large leash because of the large leash Dan Campbell had. They saw what happened in Dan Campbell's first years. I think they're going to use that as a precedent to give him a leash in Chicago.
Well, I think the Bears' offense is going to be really good. If Ben Johnson's not dumb, he saw how valuable an offensive line is. I think they're going to go offensive line first round in the draft, and that automatically, unless it's a bust, like does wonders for them. They have talent in the speed positions, so I think their offense is going to be good, and their defense was already pretty good.
I think Andrew's right, though. I feel like he's on a short leash just in Chicago, like with Caleb Williams there. I think you've got to. His biggest challenge is going to be maintaining egos and controlling personalities, I think.
Well, I think he's there as long as Caleb Williams is on contract. If it goes well, and they re-sign him, Ben Johnson's right there with him. If it doesn't turn out and they don't re-sign Caleb Williams after the rookie deal, Ben Johnson's gone.
Yeah, I could see that. I think, Mitch, you're right, too. Offensive line. If they're smart, if that Chicago Bears team is smart, they go offensive line right out the get-go on the draft. And if they don't, I think that's signs of things to come for them. Speaking on New York, got Tyrod Taylor there. If maybe they go like a bridge quarterback, maybe they give him a year. They've also got the 7th overall pick, so maybe they go quarterback.
Tyrod Taylor's got to be like 35.
He seems older, though,
Do you guys have a guess? I just looked it up as I said it.
I know that 35 is pretty close. I'll go 34.
Okay. Papa?
I'll say 32. Go the opposite.
He's 35 years old.
Yeah, you set us up for failure on that one, sir. How old is Kelvin Shepard? Just thinking on his next moves.
I'm gonna guess 36.
Andrew?
That's a good guess. That's a really good guess. I like that guess. Go 37.
You win, sir.
Let's go.
And you know what the best part about that is?
Wait, just turned 37.
Yeah, January 2nd. So you just barely eclipsed it there.
Price is right. Rules. I win.
Ooh, he's got you there.
Ben would know all about it.
Going back in 2027. My time is almost up in Price is Right jail. I'm almost eligible again.
I didn't even know that was the thing. Is it every 10 years?
Yeah, you can't be on it again after being on it. You have to wait 10 years.
You're gonna tell that to the guy? I've been waiting 10 years to come back, and maybe that's the key to get you back on.
The T-shirt, brother. Oh my God.
We had a cord malfunction. That's on me.
You get a sound booth and somehow it's noisier.
Yeah, that's on me. The cords.
Make it make sense,
like,
brother.
the cords got tangled.
My goodness. Yeah, the Jets have the 7th overall pick. Mitch, I know you are a mock draft fiend. I don't know if you haven't been looking at mock drafts, that's totally fine. I'm just curious, has anybody seen what the Jets target there at the 7th overall pick?
I have not looked.
It feels like they need a lot. They've got talent on the defensive side of the ball. I'm assuming they need offensive line help.
Oh, yeah, they need everything. But, yeah, the offensive line was a glaring issue last year with Aaron Rodgers. Just ask him. But I think back to the head coach thing, too, that makes sense. I think his leash is definitely longer. Aaron Glenn, I think he's well loved in that city, a team he used to play for back in his playing days. And I think, too, much more of a rebuild situation there in New York. So I think he's got time. But we'll see. We'll see. I like to do these mock drafts. I've done a few, but Mitch, I don't know if you noticed it. Maybe it was like this last year, but PFF's locks you down. Like they really want you to pay for it now.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I think you only get like 2 drafts, and you can only do 1 or 2 a day. If you do more than 2 a day, it locks you out. Crazy. Let's see. What does a mock draft do? It has the Jets taking Myles Williams, edge from Georgia.
Cal Williams.
Myles Williams, Tommy, cut that. Yeah. We'll see.
Tommy,
We'll see.
it's a Tommy heavy episode.
And we're really leaning into
Because of
Tommy
you,
in season 4.
you inappropriate little pervert.
Me?
Yeah.
You came out here with the slur.
What? What's this guy talking about?
What is this guy talking about? Somebody's gonna have to find that needle in the haystack. I don't know what he's talking about, guys.
Crazy.
We can't get canceled. We can ill afford to get canceled. Yeah, so do you guys think, last thing on the coaches, do you think the likelihood of Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson coming back to Detroit is at all possible?
No. The only thing I could see is maybe 5 years down the road, a long reunite with AG and Dan Campbell. I don't see Ben coming back, though.
Too young, too many options for him. He's going to get a lot of opportunities because everybody wants the young offensive guru these days. Yeah, I think you're right. But I still can't help but manifest the situation like Josh McDaniels and just have him come back, offensive coordinator for life. All right, free agency
people
talk.
coming back. No. This is exactly what I wanted.
Okay. Well, the floor is yours, my friend. We're still over a month out from free agency. It'll be mid-March, and of course we'll have episodes more specific to free agency when we have more clarity there. But any positions you guys think they need to target here specifically in this free agency period coming up in a month?
Everybody want to say it on 1, 2, 3, the glaring issue? 1, 2, 3.
Lead us, sir.
Oh, I thought you guys didn't say anything. That was crazy.
Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy, guys. I thought we were all going to say something.
I thought we were doing Duval.
Oh, not that one. No. How about quarterback?
Ooh.
What are we thinking there? I don't know. I don't see Teddy coming back to suit up.
No.
But
No.
I could also see Brunell stepping down and having Teddy step into the quarterback's coach role.
Maybe not this year.
I think he's got to earn it. I don't think he just gets to walk right into a quarterback's coach role.
Yeah, maybe he comes in at a lower role and then in a year or two takes over for Brunell. I don't think it happens that quick.
Ooh,
Fair enough.
Andrew, big NBA guy. Jimmy Butler going to the Warriors.
Breaking news.
A lot of odd
Jimmy
trades
finally
going
gets out
on.
of a Miami-Dade.
For everybody else, everybody knows the big one. Luka heading to L.A.
You know what I loved about that? Took all the buzz away from the Chiefs and the Eagles.
So thank God.
It
too,
really
like,
did. That's a
Right.
great call.
I hate that we're covering the Super Bowl for 2 weeks.
What? We're covering the what?
Super Bowl.
Tommy,
Nah,
Tommy,
never heard
we gotta
of
cut. We can't say the SB word on here.
Super butt.
Super butt. Yeah, no, I did love that, and honestly, I feel like the Super Bowl has been super downplayed, and we'll touch on that in a minute.
Yeah, I think for me though, it's offensive line. I think they have some offensive line depth issues. I mean, if we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, I wouldn't mind them. I was listening to a sports show that won't be named,
Dan Patrick.
and yes, and I just like Rich Eisen
Hold
was
it.
on.
You have
And-
no idea how hard that just made me laugh. That was an incredible mute laugh by me, but continue.
The Dan Patrick thing.
Correct.
Rich Eisen was on. just go all in. Just go all in and get Myles Garrett. I think we can all agree that if in health, staying healthy is a huge thing here, right? Banners fly forever. Who cares if they're just perennially good if they never win a Super Bowl? If you ask me, I trade a Super Bowl next year. If it meant we miss the playoffs for the next 5 years, I'd take a Super Bowl next year. I would take one Super Bowl over a 10-year playoff run.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that because I think even if they did win a Super Bowl, I don't know their opportunity to win several with Jared Goff and the team that they have right now. And Goff's
Mitchell,
only getting older.
When they said go all in for Myles Garrett, like, did they say what that entailed? What is all?
What does it take to get Myles Garrett?
It's
Yeah.
probably 2 firsts. It's probably this year's first, next year's first, some mid rounders. But who
That's
cares?
tough.
Who cares though? The Lions are so young.
What
Why
if?
does it matter? What are we holding the picks for if
What
if we
if-
never win a Super Bowl?
What if we give them the 2025 first, so it's a
Yep.
late round first.
Mm-hmm.
The third rounder we got for AG, our 2025 second rounder,
It's not going to do it.
in Zadarius Smith.
I don't think it does. I think if you find another team that might do it for someone else, I think it would take this year's first, which you're right, Andrew. It's a late pick. I think this year's third would be part of it, which that's playing
But-
with house money anyways.
You would also expect the next year's first is also going to be late because the Lions are going all in for a Super Bowl.
That's the thing. Give them next year's first too. So it's another late rounder and maybe next year's third again.
And then send
Two first,
Zadarius
2
Smith
thirds.
back to the Browns. That would be the funniest
I
part
would
about all
send
of
him
it.
back, dude. He would be so mad.
I don't even think you have to send Zadarius back. Just keep Zadarius, and then you just have 3 stud pass rushers fresh at all times. And
Who do you
how
get
often
rid of,
do we
though?
see?
You can't keep everybody. There's no way there's enough.
Why
money to go
you're
around.
really only paying Myles Garrett and you're not even paying Hutch next year unless they want to.
Well, you've got Hutch, you've got Kirby, you've got JMO, you've got
Somebody doesn't come
Well,
back.
right,
out of those
right,
three.
exactly.
But
You're gonna lose some of that. You're gonna lose at least one of those guys.
Why?
Money.
For next year?
Well, not next year, but
That's what I mean. I'm saying let's go all in.
how are you gonna get Myles Garrett for 1 year?
Well, you don't have to do. I mean, go all in next year, and then then you lose somebody. But
I
you
see.
still have. But if you have, I'm saying, in the hypothetical world of what it takes to get a Super Bowl, how painful do you think it is to have been a 49ers fan the last 15 years? You just taste it every year.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah, that's worse than being
And now
bad.
look at the 49ers.
Right. Counter argument, which I've seen online. I can't take credit
Talking
for
me
this.
into it.
But the Dolphins did something. They got Chubb, they got Tyreek Hill, they got a couple others. They spent a ton of money, nothing to show for it. Now Tyreek Hill wants out.
I think
Okay.
they got the wrong guys. Tyreek Hill isn't really a leader of
Yeah,
people.
I think you're talking about a defensive line with 2 top 3 pass rushers in the league.
Myles Garrett only tried to murder one guy on field.
That's it.
That's it.
Nothing big.
But he had it coming, so.
I'm about it. Because I think I used to be in the camp of, well, no, I don't want to mortgage the future. Who cares though? Like I think, like this probably sounds crazy as a Lions fan because I think 4 years ago, if you were like, hey, would you like for the next 10 years to be relevant? Of course I would.
What do the Browns need?
Picks. They need
Life.
picks. They need an entire reset.
Well, Mitchell, what if instead of that second first rounder, you give him Hendon Hooker?
I saw that in a proposed trade as well. I think the Lions did themselves a disservice by putting Teddy Bridgewater in over Hendon Hooker.
I agree.
I mean, that just signaled to the league that they don't believe in Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, that was very peculiar,
Stupid is what you meant to say.
among other things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'd like. Ben, you're a little cautious. I feel like I've got Andrew maybe like dipping his toes in the water here with me. I just am like, if it meant getting a Super Bowl, which this is what it takes, and again, no injuries this year. We're talking about we're more than likely, not more than likely, we're at least watching football 2 weeks ago, like
Yeah,
conference championship. I'm confident in saying that.
100%.
But like,
Well, I guess, because like cornerback's the weak spot. We lost a lot of guys to injury last year. Who are we projected to take? Did you guys? I don't know if you already said it. Who are we projected to take that pick?
I've seen late first round cornerback. However, I think there's also a scenario where they can bring back Carlton Davis and get Myles Garrett.
Yeah. Yeah, cornerback or defensive edge, defensive somewhere in that,
Yeah.
defensive tackle. I've seen I don't think I've seen any offense from the mocks that I've seen, but
How do you plan for Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett?
you don't. You just hope to survive.
By the way, Aleem coming up the middle with DJ Reader.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I think all of a sudden it's the best defensive line in football.
Best defense in football.
When do you think this deal would get done, though? Like, because nobody wants to be the first one signed because that's the least amount of money. But the Lions historically have set the trend. Do you think if they're going to get... I think if it gets done, they get it done like right away.
I don't know, because they haven't really done this. Like, they haven't...
That's the thing.
Brad Holmes hasn't made
Brad
the splash.
said this last year. He said this after the season. One of the hardest moves for him was going out and getting a defensive end, Zadarius Smith, because he believed in their internal team. But they just lost so many that he finally had to go do something.
Right, and it took him that much just to get Zadarius Smith.
Correct. But, so I think that might change his mindset, like, I can't sit on my heels anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you've done it. You've built through the draft. And yes, injuries played a factor this year, but this is where you're at. Like, I think it's, like, why not is my question. If we say yes to build through the draft, we're saying no to Myles Garrett.
I guess it's because if it doesn't hit, then it's just like future fuck. Ooh, that's aggressive. There's a lot
you're
to
not
cut
wrong,
in
though.
this one. I'm sorry for the listeners too in particular. Sorry.
But see, I also disagree because yes, you're trading away 2 first-round picks, and there's some other middle ground in there too. But you've already locked down your core guys for 4 more years.
Yeah, but if this doesn't hit with Myles Garrett, like, you're just perpetually average in my eyes.
Who gives a shit? We've been perpetually dog shit for the last forever.
Yeah, but then what's the point of selling out for a Super Bowl if you...
The Super Bowl. That's the point.
It's Super Bowl or bust.
That's what I'm saying.
It was Super Bowl or bust this year.
Yes, and we got busted. We didn't win a playoff game. And it sucks.
Failure in my book.
Yeah, 100%. This season was disappointing. I don't think in totality. The records were awesome. I don't want to sound greedy. Like, there are trolls that are going to be like, "Oh, you guys are idiots. You're not grateful."
I can't even see him.
Blocking out the haters. We've tasted success. I'm just saying, why not is my question. Why not go all in for Myles Garrett? Because the downside is where we've been. If the downside is 4 years, or not even, like, because you're talking about 2 years of draft picks. If the downside is 2 years of, like, I don't know, 8 and 9 football, 7 and 10 football, I'm fine with that. They're always going to compete under Dan Campbell.
Agreed. 100%. Well, let me throw this at you, and I don't know how the contracts
you don't have to throw
work.
it. You can toss it out, though.
Okay, let me toss this at you. So Myles Garrett signed a 5-year deal in 2020, which means he has 2 years remaining on his contract. I don't know. Maybe you guys have more insight on how that would work. But for example, if the Lions just acquire his contract as it is right now, he'd be owed a base salary of $1.2 million, a cap hit of $19 million, a dead cap of $36 this year, and then $20 million cap hit next year, and a $21 million dead cap 2026. So for that, it doesn't sound as I'm kind of getting talked into this based on the contract that I'm seeing. I just don't know that Brad and Dan would do this deal. That's my only thing. I don't want to get my hopes up because of, like you guys both alluded to, just not in their nature to do this.
Yeah, I think the Rams, unfortunately, are just going to make a push for this really hard. I think that's why they said Cup's on the trading block. I think that was purely it, to let them know, hey, don't be afraid to ask for a big guy, because they want to naturally replace him with Nakua, Puka, and they miss Aaron Donald.
Very interesting roll call.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I thought I said his name wrong.
Nakua, Puka. Here.
I know we've spent a lot of time on this at this point. I got talked into it today. I don't see the downside. Again, I understand you are giving away 2 years of draft picks. We've seen how much damage Brad can do in the middle rounds, like 3, 4, 5. If you can get a generational talent like Myles Garrett to put on the other end of Aiden Hutchinson, to bookend DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, you've got Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone next year, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. If you get Carlton Davis back, Terrion's in his second year. Show me the weakness.
Ooh. Yeah,
Carry on.
He's gonna be better. Let's be
That's
honest.
the weakness.
Amik, a healthy Amik, like all of a sudden we have a nickel corner. Like what package
Try to
can
bury him.
what package can they not roll out on defense?
I guess their biggest weakness is Brian Branch's legs when he cramps up.
Yeah, he was
Fair.
dealing with a little quad thing all year. I think he straightens that out in the offseason here. Look, I'm the more I think about it, the more I'm in on this Garrett Myles guy.
Have we not even brought up
Cupper Coop?
No, what is it? Tustin Jucker?
Oh, Justin Tugger?
No, we're not doing that. I don't even want to talk about that.
What we will do is talk about
Why
Amon-Ra St.
are you
Brown.
protecting him?
Somebody mute this guy's mic.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on tonight? Guy hangs a flag in his office and he thinks he runs the show.
Hey, he's producing season 4. This is still season 3, bud.
Yeah.
Lay off. Well, St. Brown on his podcast today, I don't know if you guys caught it. He joked about getting Myles Garrett, and he said he was going to ask Brad Holmes about it. So he's hinting at it. He also hinted out about getting. He said this about the defensive line that we basically just said the same thing. But he said if you have that D line, you don't need any corners. And it's kind of true.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Like, how much time does the quarterback have? There's nowhere to. I'm just repeating myself. I just listed all the starters on defense, and I don't know where the weakness would be.
Yeah, and this says Browns would have to deal with they would have to deal with the dead money and the loss of the cap space. I don't know. So maybe it's not that bad for the Lions if his contract maybe not that unattractive.
If you're the Browns, you have to reset. You have your head coach. Don't move on from Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. You made a massive mistake with Deshaun Watson. It's time to reset. Go get some picks, and just start over again.
Yeah, that's all they can do. But he also talked about Cooper Kupp. He said, imagine if we got him, me, Coop, J-Mo, Tim Patrick, Leaf, Laporta, Demo, James, Gibbs, Sewell, Ragnow, Decker, Goff, Craig Reynolds. I could keep going, he said.
I just they need Myles Garrett is more of it. Myles Garrett is a splash. You definitely don't have to give up. I don't know what you have to give up to get Cooper Kupp. To be honest, Cooper.
I don't know. It's kind of a name, Kupp. Anyway, we'll talk more on the free agency and the trades. The trade could happen at any time. I think the window's open for trades. But the free agency window won't open until mid-March, and we'll be back before the free agency happens. And if something major happens, like they sign Cooper Kupp or Myles Garrett, I think we'll have to hop on for an emergency episode here after this one. Here's something I'd like to see in 2025. Bring back the silver pants. They were so scared to go away from the blueberries and the all whites. Let's bring back the silver pants. It's not bad luck anymore.
Agreed.
Bring them back. I'd love to see that combo brought back. 2025 opponents. We'll touch on this later episodes, but man, I told you guys that road schedule next year is tough. I mean, they've got to play the entire AFC North. I may pull it up right now, but it's not looking good. It's not looking great. I'm not very optimistic about this 2025 opponents. They've got to play the 3 teams in their division on the road, the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings, but then they've got to play the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Commies, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Ravens. I don't know if there's been such a tough road schedule.
That's nothing for Myles Garrett.
He run
Were
through those
those
teams.
all playoff teams or fringe playoff teams?
They got a tough schedule next year.
Every single one of them outside of the Bengals and the Bears. Yep.
What in the world?
Yeah, so they went perfect on the road last year. That won't happen this year. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm going to say a regress from 15-2.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think there's a realistic bone in my body that can say they would. Their home schedule, got to play the Bears, Packers, and the Vikings, of course. And then outside of the division, Cowboys, Browns, which would be a great Myles Garrett revenge game, by the way. Buccaneers at home, and the Giants and the Steelers at home. So Hey, they get to play Dallas at home for the first time in, I think, 15 years.
Yeah.
Insane. But yeah, we'll touch on that at a later date. But they've got to play 9 road games. That's tough, and all of those 9 road games are a challenge. 3 divisionals, and then the Bengals and Burrow, the Chiefs, in just always going to be the Chiefs, the Commanders, a revenge game there, and then the Eagles, Rams, Stafford again, Ravens. Yeah, I got to stop looking at the road schedule because that just I don't feel great about it. Moving on. Oh, and they could open the season on a primetime. They're one of the 5 teams that could open against either the Chiefs or the Eagles. So could have another primetime opener this season.
Eagles Lions would do numbers, I think.
Yeah, I would. Certainly
That'd be a
would.
great, like, NFC opener.
Hot. Those uniforms, very hot.
Yeah,
with the silver pants.
I'm with you. Like, start wearing the silver pants.
Wore them once last year against the Bucks, and they lost, so they said no more.
Ooh, bad juju, huh? Okay, well,
Yeah.
whatever.
But then they lost in the Blueberries, so in the playoffs. So I think you can erase all of that. Oh, all right. Let's talk about who's potentially going to be a free agent for the Lions. We don't have to touch these at great length, but we made a nice little table here, which is kind of cool. We'll share our screen here momentarily. Thank you for formatting that. Carlton Davis.
That was Andrew.
Thanks, Papa. He's asleep though. I can see his turtle's asleep. Carlton Davis. Mitch, you touched on him just a minute ago. Bring him back?
They're gonna have to pay him, but bring him back. I think it's the all-in year.
Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, I think he's one of those ones you got to bring back in the backfield. He was a dog all year. Would have loved to have had him. I think there's a lot of guys you're going to lose. He's an important piece.
All right, stamp it. We all want Carlton Davis back. Here's one that we're different on. Big Z on the offensive line, Kevin Zeitler.
I would love to keep him. I just don't. I think he's one of those ones that are fringe guys. The money's not going to be there, and they've got some developmental guys they've been working on. Mahogany seemed to fit in nice, so seems to be natural.
Yeah, I'm keeping because if Mahogany gets hurt, then you have to draft. Well, like, who's their offensive line depth?
They got Giovanni Manu, and I got a couple others. They've got Awasika. Is that what is?
Awasika.
Shika.
Yeah, so they've got a couple others.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of keeping him just for that depth piece. I think, I don't know. That one's going to be very money and deal dependent. I think for the Lions, it'll be interesting to see.
Let me be clear. I want him. Don't think he's going to be there.
All right.
Yeah.
Defensive line, Levi. You guys both have him off your list.
Yeah, I think he's heading to the Jets with old AG.
Mitch?
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Is that where your head's at too? Okay.
Yeah.
So Levi's off our list. Derek Barnes, another guy that could get floated to the Jets. You guys think he stays?
Want to keep him? Don't think he's going to stay.
Yeah.
Think he's going to take that step up and take the opportunity elsewhere? Could see it. Probably wants to be the captain of that defense for the Jets. I could see that. Iffy, somebody who barely played last year but did play in the last couple games. We've seen his ability off the blitz, off the edge there. I think they can get him cheap because of the injury.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Iffy, stamp him. He's back. Tim Patrick.
I'll take him.
Keep him.
Even if they get Cup, Cooper.
I don't think we're getting Cup.
No Cup, Cooper. All right. So you think he's even with his age? You're all right with bringing Timmy back?
Oh yeah, had a great season with us. Wants to block.
Yeah, he played well.
All right. Tim Patrick is back. The majority wins on that one. Dan Skipper, who could forget,
Absolute
touchdown
must.
last year.
Need to bring back Dan. They bring in an extra lineman so often. They need to keep him.
Yeah, and you really should have just stacked him and John Kaminsky together because it's the same. It's the same conversation.
100%. Kaminsky coming off that injury. Both these guys are Detroit guys. Stamp them both. Marcus Davenport, we're all out on him. Is it because of his injuries?
Yeah. Injury
All right.
prone everywhere he's been.
Yep. I agree. He showed shades of it early last season, just couldn't stay healthy. Khalil Dorsey. You guys don't like Khalil Dorsey?
I just copied Andrew on this one.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're either going to find another young guy in the draft and develop him because he's the same thing.
Great special teams guy, Dorsey. I think you keep him for that and also get rid of Vildor. Dorsey's the better option for depth. Pat O'Connor.
Nah.
You guys are hating on Pat. Okay.
He's a practice squad guy. No offense,
All right.
Pat.
All right. So he's off our list. Majority wins there. Muhammad, Andrew, this is your guy.
I want to see this. This guy came in full. I think this is a Dan Campbell guy.
The Prophet, as you called him?
I think this is a full-on Dan Campbell guy. This guy lays it all out at all times. I think he finds the team this year.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Ben Neiman, linebacker.
Yeah, keep him. Good rotational guy. Came in and played decently well, I thought.
The same, but he could be replaced by anybody, and I wouldn't notice.
That's my kind of feelings towards it, too, and I think he may look for opportunities elsewhere. So we'll see. Vildor, we're all out on him. See you later. Mosley, this one hurts, but time to hit the road, Mose. Teddy Bridgewater, we touched on him earlier. I think he's into retirement or coaching, one of the two. Badgley, we've got the kicker of the future, it seems, so we don't need his services. Kyle Pecco, another guy that got hurt. We're all out on him. Allen Robinson, thanks for your 2 catches on the year or whatever it was, but we're sorry to see you go. Zeke Turner, you guys hating on Zeke. I would like to see him back for some depth.
Copied Andrew again.
Is this the guy they got from Seattle late?
No, it was the Titans, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about this guy. Sorry, Zeke.
Jonah Williams, defensive lineman, last 2 here.
Not familiar.
Another injury guy. I would like to see him back for the right price. Kwan Alexander, Andrew. I for the life of me, I can't figure out why you got him in the keep category.
That was just kind of a joke.
Okay, good. Thank you for clear.
Oh, you're doing that little weasel laugh that you always do.
Oh, I was trying to do your laugh.
Good one. Ben on point.
All right, YouTubers, check out the YouTube if you want to see our exhaustive list there, and check it out. All right, well, there's a Super Bowl this weekend. Oh wait, can't say that word. Let's revert. There's a game on this weekend. It's the Puppy Bowl. You guys got to check out the Puppy Bowl on Animal Planet. That's by far the much more interesting matchup of the weekend. Here's the only thing in this anti-Super Bowl episode that we're going to say about the SB, which is ticket prices are way down. I don't know if you guys saw this, but from last week, after these 2 teams were determined, tickets dropped 30%, and year over year, ticket prices are down 50% for the Super Bowl.
Nobody cares.
Get the Lions in there.
Oh, if the tickets for the Lions Super Bowl were no less than $10,000, might have thought about it.
I just wanted to go to the parade.
You would have been happy with the parade.
I had a hotel room. from a fellow that we all know, and the last text was the cancellation confirmation.
Oh, that hurts.
Cry emoji.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you react to that message? Anything?
I think I just said sad. I think I just
Trump
texted everyone sad and replied to like emails sad for like the next 3 days.
Just out of office, sad. That's all your out of office had to say, sad.
Pretty much.
Yeah, dark times. But as Dan would say, what was his quote? You only come back better. Guess we got to believe that. And they're going to be up for the challenge. 2 new coordinators, a lot of offensive and defensive coaches anew. There's going to be some growing pains. Let's talk season 4. Speaking of growing, You can like us, follow us, rate us 5 stars on the podcasting platforms. Subscribe on
Well,
YouTube.
who do you guys think is going to win this weekend? I know no one wants to pick, but we should.
No.
Come on.
No.
Kendrick
No.
Lamar is going to probably win big with his fans.
I think the Chiefs are going to win. I'd rather see the Eagles win. I'd rather see a tie.
A tie.
That would be
That's
something.
talking like Ben and I.
Yeah.
No
baloney
lie.
slinging. You know, if you flip SB into BS, it's baloney slinger. So that's the SBBS.
Thanks for picking the Chiefs, Mitch. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Scumbag.
And Travis
Who
Kelce
just
rides
zipped
off
up their
into the sunset.
zipper? Speaking of scumbag,
Oh, that was me sliding my foot against the chair. That's all.
why don't you just keep your hands and feet where we can see them, buddy?
Why don't the shareholders follow us on TikTok and Instagram?
Use those fingers.
Not all of us have TikTok anymore.
Brr, brr, brr. That is actually tragic.
Send your hate my way, TikTokers. I'll get there when they allow me to re-download it. And hey, I'll just sit there and look at all those comments. Like I care.
Mitch, did you sell your phone with TikTok on it?
No, is that still a thing? I might.
Well, I was looking at it because I have CapCut too, and those ones are worth even more if you have both
I don't know
of
what
them.
that means.
It's an editing thing. It's a mobile editor.
Well, I don't know that my phone is unlocked, so I guess I'd have to figure that out too. But I don't. If I could sell this phone if I could basically just get enough money to buy a brand new phone, I would 100% do it.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Couple grand in the pocket. Yeah.
I guess I'll look. I'll get back into it.
Okay. All right. New music coming for season 4, folks. We've got something real special cooked up for season 4, which will officially start with the next episode as we
It
are.
sounds like that.
Yeah, that was. I thought Tommy had hit the button to play it. Actually, I thought that's what that was. I didn't know that was you. But yeah, new music, folks. Get excited. Get hype. We know you're jumping onto your chairs as it is already. And season 4, like I said, we'll start March 9th as we enter free agency. The season will start for the NFL around that time as well, officially. So we follow that schedule. So we'll be back early March, and then we'll be back mid-March to recap anything in free agency. So probably back in March 9th, that Sunday, and then we'll be back in April. 420 Blaze It. We'll be back on April 20th for a preview of the draft, which is, I believe, April 24th this year, and then April 27th, recap of the draft. So those are your dates to remember. And then we take a break, and we won't be back until training camp. So that's the schedule for the Lion's Share. And in season 4, in the regular season, we're going to have a lot of new fun things. We're going to do some topics, some organization, a lot of internal reviews going on. We're going to get our yearly what are those performance reviews. We're gonna get those in from Tommy, and then we're gonna have a new pick system for 2025. We've listened to the shareholders, and we know that maybe not every pick needs to be made, and that was a fun little time that we had when we did 2 straight years of picking all 272 games. But we're gonna retire that and bring it back in a different format, including maybe a spinning wheel, some gambling corners, something of that sort. Don't want to give too much away, but lots of things planned for season 4, and we appreciate you being here for 3 seasons in a row, and we look forward to seeing you in season 4. Last thing, guys, before we send the shareholders out, last thing, a little fact or fiction. The Lions have 2 draft picks inside the top 100 as it is right now.
Fiction.
Fact or fiction, they will end up with more than 2, meaning they'll trade some picks around and get more than 2 in the top 100.
I will also say fiction. I feel like this Myles Garrett thing may actually come to fruition.
I love
Speak
it.
it.
Who
Yeah,
gets
that
you guys? Who gets you guys excited in this year's draft?
You know, haven't really been looking at the notes. No, I did a few mock drafts. There's some cornerbacks. There's some edges, but you're right. Nobody probably at the caliber of Myles Garrett, if that's what you're hinting at.
I don't know anyone that's like. if I was going to do a mock draft, it would just be like, yeah, whatever best available cornerback or D end at 2028. I'd rather have Myles Garrett.
Yeah, because essentially the best player is Travis Hunter. And then after that, there's like, I don't know. I'm not a college guy, so you tell me.
You didn't graduate?
I'll have you know that I did, sir. Thank you. Fire up.
Go Scots.
All the way.
Got a new head coach, by the way.
No.
Scots. Well,
I
at 20
do not agree.
Everybody, prayers, Scots, prayers, Scots, prayers, Scots.
Let's go Lions.
No.